bro. It's kind of crazy that we created a podcast and couldn't come up with it. Oh, fuck. No, damn, I ruined it. Oh, that would have been so sick. No.
No, that's good, right? Because since this is the first time, we can't even say the name. So I think we all should go around the room and be the brave souls to see that who can remember the name of the podcast off the top.
They got it already pulled up. Only I got it pulled up on that.
I don't have it pulled up yet.
I don't got nothing.
I don't have it pulled up either, and I don't even remember the name.
We created a podcast, but couldn't settle with a name. Fuck. We couldn't settle for a name. We couldn't settle with a name, so we couldn't.
Daddy?
We tried coming up with a name for the podcast. Instead, we settled on this sentence being the name.
Oh, you're close.
Yeah,
Chris?
okay.
We created a podcast and couldn't come up with a name, so we settled on this sentence being the title.
So, what is the acronym that we're gonna settle for immediately? Because ain't nobody remembering that shit.
we should just call it "we" with a question.
I guess like podcast name. I don't know. Maybe just like like the we put PNT, wasn't it?
PTSD? Trying to say this name?
Yeah, the PTSD podcast where we share our deepest and darkest stories.
I mean, I might have PTSD watching Fornev butcher it off the first.
We created a podcast, but
what about like just PNT, like podcast name title?
We sound like some uncreative pieces of shit.
Or
NPT, no podcast title.
There we go. No podcast title. We're the no podcast title podcast.
No. Listen. It's gonna be NFT, right? For no final time.
No. Then they'll hate us. We're the NFT podcast. Oh my God, we should be the NFT podcast.
Oh, no.
We will redirect the definition of it to us, bro.
This is where the dark side of the timeline starts to
The only NFTs I'm about are nice fucking tits.
And that booty. I ain't gonna lie, dog. Like, I used to be more of the chest until I was like, yo, fam, I discovered the joys of a woman with a da-dong, you know what I'm saying?
Fornev, I dead-ass remember one time you were like, Shintai, why are you an ass man? Because I'm all about the boobs. And you were like, I don't get it. What is it about the ass? And I was just like, it's just a feeling.
He had to grow the fuck up. That's all. He had to
I had to step out of Fornev's world for a little bit. Oh, man.
Never say for never.
Hey, that's why we just with Fornev. So, My Chemical Romance, Shintai, that song. Tell us about it. Give us the insight. How long it's been since they were gone? Also, where does this measure up in terms of their sound to previous albums? Give us the goods.
All right. So, very important is that the last album that My Chemical Romance came out with was Danger Days back in 2010.
Oh, shit.
2010. So, a little bit after making that album in particular, it's not hated per se, but like compared to some of their other works, particularly the Black Parade.
What did it sell out of curiosity?
What did it sell? I don't.
I thought you had it pulled up. Oh, okay.
No. What I'm saying is the fan base looks back on Danger Days not as fondly as the Black Parade. It's not hated, but like the Black Parade and 3 Cheers for Sweet Vengeance, those 2 albums in particular are like the golden childs. Like those are like the cream of the crop.
Right.
You know? Right. So when Danger Days got a more muted response, Gerard Way, the lead singer, songwriter, he was like, okay, I'm going to try and do something that's more like the other albums. And he was going to come out with something called, I believe it was called The Paper Kingdom. But the thing is, he was making something that he didn't actually want to make. So it wasn't coming together well. It wasn't working. And that's when he was like, all right, fuck it. Band is done. So the band has been gone for a while now. And a couple of years ago, like right before the pandemic happened, they got back together and they announced a tour. But they had to cancel the tour because of the pandemic.
Right.
Right? Now, just recently, they're like, okay, tour's back on. And then they dropped this song, The Foundations of Decay. So they didn't say there's an album. They didn't say like, they just dropped this song and they've kept their like, as of now, they've kept their fucking mouth shut. And I can say, as a fan, I think this new song fucking goes hard. I love it.
I'm not a big fan of them, and I really like the song. When you sent it to me, that was the first thing I said. I like it, and you know me. Normally, I'm like, if I don't really, I like it. I like the song.
For the people that haven't heard it yet, like, what's
the name of the song?
what's the name of the song? And what's the song?
The song's called "The Foundations of Decay."
Right.
The Foundations of Decay. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And is it just a song, or would you say it's like inspired by like recent events or anything like that?
So I feel like the song is about the band's legacy. So when you're looking at the lyrics, it says, "See the man who stands upon the hill. He dreams of all the battles won, but fate have left its scars upon his face with all the damage done." So I think that's the band kind of reflecting on, their success, their legacy, because like the Black Parade in particular was like their breakout album. And a lot of people at the time, especially because they're considered an emo band, that album was very helpful for a lot of people with their depression. So the band, more than anything, wanted the band to mean something to people, and they wanted the band to be something that helped people. So
what is your guys' thoughts, now that you bring that up, about that whole idea that I really don't like? Because, like, if I'm being honest with you, there's a couple of bands that I really like that, from the early 2000s, they had some smash hits, and they get shitted on as, like, a meme, like Nickelback, Linkin Park. Like, people make fun of them or joke on them, and it's like, but I really like those records. Like, what is your take on people shitting on those acts that came from, like, the early 2000s, and now people look at them with disdain when people love those records when they came out?
I think it's part of music.
I think when it comes to Nickelback, it's all justified.
Okay, you piece of shit.
I think it
Never made it as wise man. Good as poor man.
when it comes to Linkin Park, I think that they kind of caught stray bullets because of Naruto AMVs.
I love those AMVs, though. I love them.
I was a huge Linkin Park fan.
I am a little bit.
They were-
A little bit. It's like, yo, a little bit.
that shit defined the mid 2000s, man. Like,
Yo.
Yeah, but think about it. Like, what happens when everybody jumps on the wave? Because then every AMV that was Naruto related became a Linkin Park song. It wasn't like this.
But in retrospect, they were so cool.
I mean,
they're cool for us, but not necessarily for everyone else.
it's how like
It got tiring.
it's how people feel about every rapper like throwing auto tune on their shit, or like every fucking movie having the same actor in it. Like, you get fucking Kevin Hart in every comedy movie, and from
Oh, God.
2014 to 2019, and it's like, okay, well, how long do we have to keep seeing the same shit? How people feel about superhero movies. Oh, every movie is a superhero movie. I think it just became oversaturated.
With My Chemical Romance in particular, though, there was like a huge stigma around them because they were considered an emo band. And back in the day, if you were an emo band, people fucking hated you because there was this stigma around the emo label that you're just sad for no reason. That was the stigma.
Dog, we're dealing with depression and using music as an outlet, motherfucker.
But that was the impression people got. And
of course, I know, yeah.
And because My Chemical Romance was considered an emo album, they were maligned due to that negative association. And full disclosure, at the time, I avoided My Chemical Romance for that reason. Because at the time, I was also like, fuck emo kids, fuck emo music, fuck all that shit. That shit fucking sucks.
Shout out to Dragon Ball Z for putting me on to the Deftones with the Cooler movie. That song, I watched the change in you. It's like you never. Dog. That one.
Yeah.
And the Cooler, that was when they were still doing that, when they would put in like English music, you know, their music or whatever they wanted or licensed, and they was put it into the movies. And I ain't gonna lie, that got me into the Deftones. Shout out to the Deftones. I think they lost, I forget which a part of their band, but they lost a band member a few years back.
Dude, I remember you got me to watch some like Dragon Ball OVA. It was the one about the androids, like the alternate timeline.
Okay, A History of Trunks.
History of Trunks. There was fucking Dream Theater music playing in the background of that.
Wow.
Like I was like,
wow! I thought that was like Funimation's music.
No, I was in complete shock. I'm watching this and I'm like, is that fucking Dream Theater? What the fuck?
That's crazy.
And people used to shit on that music back in like the hardcore I almost said the name of their forum. The hardcore Dragon Ball fandoms that really love the Japanese version of the show, they hated all of that music. They said it was like Cell's theme, you know, the da-na-na-na-na-na-na. They say that is garbage. Oh my god, bring Kikuchi in, the original composer of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, Kikuchi.
So I'm like, Dream Theater is like one of my favorite bands. I've got all their albums.
Which one is the one in your right hand with the blue balloons? You just sent me one of those records. I have it in my playlist.
Yeah. So this is Octavarium.
Which song is it that I have?
Never Enough.
Is it?
Yeah,
Yep.
Never Enough.
Yep. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
No, dude, this is one of my favorite fucking bands of all time. I know.
So I have a question for you, Daniel.
What's up?
Do you think that and this is relative to My Chemical Romance and I guess emo music in general, do you think people avoided that type of music because of the stigma around depression like back then?
Absolutely. 100%. 100%. Because at the time, especially, mental health was just not understood. People still don't understand it now, but like it was way fucking worse 15 years ago.
Right.
Like, because people just thought like, oh, you're just sad for no reason. Just fucking, it's like, stop being sad. Have you ever thought of that? Just don't be sad.
Right.
Like the dumbest shit. We were so fucking dumb.
I will say this. I'll say that mindset is helpful to a certain degree to tell yourself. Because I do that with myself sometimes. I check myself. I'll assess the situation, understand what the root of it is, and be like to myself, yo, dog, what are you doing? Like, what are you sad about that? Relax. And I'll keep moving forward. So I'd say that mindset isn't completely flawed. It's just you have to empathize with a person when they're going through some shit. You can't just say, man, stop being a bitch. Like, you got to, sometimes see what's wrong with them.
No, absolutely. A lot of it
never works.
A lot of it's the attitude.
Was that
No,
correct?
yeah.
That attitude just never works. But it's kind of funny, just like for me in high school, it was the same thing where like you had the different genres of people, right? You had the sports, like jocks, you had the druggies, you had the skaters, right? And then emos kind of like fit in this in between spot between skaters and like their own thing. But I guess like back then, I never put that connection together, right? Like back in high school, being like, oh, I guess it's just.
Did anybody skate here? Did you skate?
No.
A little bit.
No.
I tried. I
Very
tried
little.
In 2009, I think, when Lil Wayne was like talking about skateboarding and stuff. I had a friend who was into it because of Wayne, and he tried to get me into it. But I was only there for the summer, so after I went back, I never got back.
Chris, you never tried to break dance with some skates on or some shit? Do something wild?
No, I mean, I've like dabbled in skating. Like I owned a skateboard and just like, tried a couple of little things. Oh, and I used to play Tony Hawk.
See, the audience don't know that Chris is like this really talented dude. Like the dude can edit videos, he can break dance, he's a former porn star, he's pretty much like done a lot of stuff. And like the only reason he left porn was because his back started hurting. Like blew his back out after a certain point.
Yo.
like, fuck it, I'm going to YouTube now. I'm leaving the old hub. It's over.
I'm on the other tube site.
Not the VTuber that we know, right?
I thought it was the hub site.
The pay wasn't all that well down in the good old porn hubs.
Chris is not the only dance. He has only dance.
No, but
And you can
what was you
fuse them
saying
together.
before that? Shit. 'Cause you had me.
Who, me?
Yeah, you were saying something. I just kind of.
We're just talking about like the different like subgroups within like high school, and then do you guys call it high school too? Like you have like
Oh, of course.
okay.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you guys have like another word that we don't use here.
Junior high, middle school.
Yeah,
No,
see, we don't do that here.
Oh,
We just go from like elementary school to high
And,
school.
and where is here?
Oh, the good old North, Canada,
Oh,
Toronto, Canada.
Yeah, I
You're
think
from
it would be
Canada land.
beneficial to say a couple of those things like, hey, okay, I'm in the Midwest. I'm in damn. Do we want to say? Now I think about it. Hold on.
Probably don't get too specific, but
Yeah.
just generally speaking.
I'll just say Ohio is like broad.
Yeah, like I say Toronto. Good luck finding me. Toronto's
Yeah.
huge.
yeah.
Okay, Canada, or Toronto, Canada, Ohio,
ATL.
ATL,
South Florida.
South Florida. Bro, we are like all over the place, and that's one of the beautiful
We're like,
things.
like the four sides of the whole
Yeah,
continent.
yeah.
But that's the power of being like, I'm grateful sometimes for the internet for stuff like that. Like, we would never in a million years be able to have linked in any fashion because we're all over the place. And the fact that this actually happened like this is thanks to, technology. So shout outs to technology sometimes. Like, please, when y'all take over robots, don't hurt me. I gave y'all a shout out, okay?
Look, man,
The robots!
if y'all take over society, just drop me in a virtual world where I can be good.
Oh man, you want to go like what's that episode of Black Mirror? Have any of you watched Black Mirror?
I've seen like a couple of episodes, but
Not in its entirety, but I've been shown that episode.
Okay, yeah, like they literally download their brains into like an online world,
Yes. Yep.
which is essentially every isekai known to
Matrix.
man. So, oh yeah, Matrix too. Yeah.
quickly, since you bring that up, what is everybody's stance in 2022, as of right now, actually, on the isekai genre?
I will watch an isekai as long as the story is different enough. Just not
Yeah.
stupid.
It's starting to get like way overinflated, like or saturated. I mean, there's just so much of it.
Inflation is a problem as well, though. It's definitely knocking the old gas tank around.
Yeah. But in general, I like the type of genre. Like it's a cool concept. Like as a kid growing up, it was something that was just like,
Inflation
So
is not a
cool.
cool concept, dog.
oh man, as a kid, I loved inflation. It's all I could think about.
Mommy, I want more inflation.
Man, the only inflation I needed was the balloons at the birthday party. Blow them shits up. Let's go.
Can we analyze?
The helium always. Speaking of world building, you know who has been like doing some interesting world building? Kendrick Lamar.
Here
Nice
we go,
segue.
baby. Here we go. Here we go. Yo.
Like when you look at like every phase of his career, right? Like we all talk about how like Kanye like manages to reinvent himself every album. Kendrick Lamar, me personally, I don't think he's had any misses in his major album releases yet. And in a case where, some people may not like it upon first listening, I think that his music ages very well.
Yo, I'm not even gonna lie. And I like to because I like to be very transparent, right? I'm very late to Kendrick, and even to a certain degree Cole, but more so probably Kendrick, because I was a little bit more at that point already into Cole. I got into Kendrick during Damn, if I'm being honest. That was my first real big concert I'd ever went to on top of that. So it was like very impactful and immediately kind of just got me into, oh shit, Kendrick is dope. Oh shit, this and that.
That was 5 years ago, right? So that was 2017?
Yeah. It was, I haven't really been to many concerts in my life. Like I've been to small, small
We need to
artists and
change
stuff like
that.
Yes, I really desperately do.
Mhm.
And 2017, I went to a concert with my sister and a friend of mine. We went to the Damn concert. It was for Kendrick Lamar, and honestly, I just went just to hang out with my sister and have fun. That
Right.
was really what it was. I didn't really I wasn't that into Kendrick like that. I had heard Damn or whatever, and then after that performance of art that I just always, because I'm a fan of theater. When I was younger, I went to a lot of plays, stage plays and stuff with this after school program I used to go to. So like I'm a big fan of theater, and the performance he put on, like, yo, this is not your and if he ever goes on tour again, because we don't know if he's gonna just be completely done with everything. It seems as though he's done, but you have to see a Kendrick Lamar performance. Dude, he had like this kung fu flick on the screen, right? Giant kung fu flick that he made. It was like a little fake kung fu, like Kung Fu Kenny. And then 3 different stages where he would hop out of the bottom of the fucking stage like a ninja and start rapping. Then he would disappear again. It was like, I've never seen nothing like that before. Never.
Crazy. That's funny because I've been listening to Kendrick since Good Kid, Mad City, and I've never been to a Kendrick concert. But
Yo.
catching those albums when they came out, man,
Magical time, I bet.
Yo, the first time, like, Money Trees, like, the first time you hear Money Trees is, like, a crazy experience.
Yeah, bitch.
First time
yeah,
you hear
bitch.
Swimming Pools, crazy experience. Like, all those singles, and then, like, I remember the response to Pimp a Butterfly, like, wasn't the best received until it came, like, maybe right before all the shootings like really started taking place, like the Trayvon Martin, rest in peace, in that time frame, right? So then we went from this music is too positive to we gonna be all right? They quoting that shit from that album. So fast.
I remember when it came out though, Anthony Fantano gave it a 10. That's like one of the few 10s that he's ever given out.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Yo, To Pimp a Butterfly was crazy, and like the way he was playing off if he were to have a conversation with Tupac was like a very well executed concept, I think.
Honestly, just Kendrick Lamar from top to bottom, flat out. And I don't like, because realistically, I could tell based off the music, Kendrick doesn't like the whole top 5, top 3 conversation. Like that. I think that's why he keeps on saying that. He's saying in general, like, that's just more division. And this is the type of artist we're talking about, that he will sacrifice. Because, yes, being in that conversation, and realistically, if Kendrick would have kept his foot on the fucking necks of every artist that was trying to come at him, Drake, Cole, and all them, from 2017 on, he would have been #1 undisputed, because his splash when he went mainstream for Damn, which it didn't feel like. This is why I think fans connect so much with Kendrick, that I look at it as almost he did Damn with a purpose of bringing positivity to people that are maybe falling in negativity. Because at that time in my life as well, I was going through a really dark time. I go through a lot of dark times in my life. There is some positives, so relax, because I know people thinking like, yo, Fornev, you go through a lot. I know. But I was going through a dark time in my life at that particular point. And in retrospect, Kendrick's words like broke through because of that Damn album, and that was, so to speak, metaphorically, the frequency I was tapped into of, just like this negativity that I had. And his words, because of the way he masked his art, was able to penetrate to my algorithm, so to speak. And I was able to get the message that little by little, as all of these artists that I kept getting tapped into from, people that people don't realize is some of the most conscious, like Daylight, you know what I'm saying? Like, these dudes really all helped to kind of get me through some stuff in a positive way, because there's music that some people think because you put on a sad song and cry to that song, that song helped you. And no, like, I want to throw that misconception out of there. Like, yes, it definitely is something that, it helps you pass the time. But some of these songs, and I've studied myself as a person that really loves music, they will take you further. So the fact that Kendrick is able to mask his art, penetrate into an algorithm that is very dark and just not in that positivity of To Pimp a Butterfly type of, mindset, whatnot, and still deliver positivity within all of that masquerading, that's not an easy task. That's not even an easy task for people to understand what I just said right now. And I'm not trying to sound like a brainiac. I'm trying to say, if this is a special individual.
Right. So after we go through those stages, now we get to Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers.
Kodak. What?
Yeah.
Kodak? That was a surprise, bro.
You know, think about the parallels between that, right? You go from To Pimp a Butterfly to having a conversation with Pac and like all this jazz and like poetry and shit, to now we're on the parallel of that to where it's like Kodak. And
well, half of the album, because it's Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, but also kind of making me question something. I feel like there's an argument to be had that from here on out, if Kendrick does make more music, it might not even be the same type of Kendrick we're used to, because it almost like if it's Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, but Kodak is on the first half of the album, the Mr. Morale part. So he's saying he's more like Kodak than Kodak in a way, but he's also understanding of the world, and that's why he put the world first with making the type of music that he made, but that he's really more so like, he even says it in certain songs, like, but I'm more like Kodak. Like, it was something along the lines of him being like an activist in certain aspects, but he's really more like Kodak. So almost that felt to me like him making a declaration of, yo, that's why I delivered these albums. I gave you guys this art. Yeah, probably just gonna, if y'all don't get anything from me, it's just gonna be Baby Keem music, and Baby Keem music is amazing. I love that album. I went back and I was listening.
Yeah.
That shit, South Africa, like that. Oh my God.
It seems like he's gonna be using Baby Keem as
to speak
like
through
the springboard to like experiment a little bit more with like
almost like a vessel.
Yeah, because when you're doing your solo shit, like, you've already created a certain type of branding for your sound, and it's not until you get to collaborate with other artists who have a different kind of sound that you get to like dabble a little bit without your fans thinking, oh, your music's changing, you know. So to be able,
I notice that rap artists, and hip hop artists, they tend to collaborate more.
yes,
Me coming more from like the rock metal type of scene, that happens occasionally.
They don't really
But,
collaborate
like,
in the rock scene?
Not a ton, not that much.
Interesting.
Not like how it is in rap and hip hop community. I see it happen a lot where it's like there'll be like a feature and they'll be like, "Yo, it's so and so's on this," you know, and that happens like I could probably count on one hand the amount of times I've seen it happen with bands that I like.
Okay, I gotta ask Chris, as somebody that, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, as somebody that doesn't have any people of color background or ethnicity or whatnot, how do you feel listening to a Kendrick Lamar album, in particular something that is so filled with messages of black empowerment and those very touchy subjects? What do you feel when you're listening to this type of music? That fascinates me right now to know.
I guess for me, like, I don't really care about skin color, so I don't like when I don't look at myself. I don't look at myself. Oh, I'm whatever, right? So I guess like I just put myself into like whatever shoes that someone's like talking about, right? It's like watching a movie. I don't necessarily have to relate in the sense of like I had to experience it too, right? I can hear what that person's saying, and yeah, exactly.
Exactly,
Empathy, yeah.
you lead with empathy. Yo, you freaking took the words out of my mouth, Rob. God damn it. Pause.
Yeah, but it's funny you
Pause.
It's funny you say that because like I was literally just thinking about that the other day. I went for a walk, right, and I'm just listening to hip hop, and I'm like, you know what's funny? Because exact same thing. I'm like, I can't relate. Like, I can't personally relate to like any of this,
Right.
but yet I still love it. So it's like, yeah, it's just like an interesting take like that for me.
I think that's the case with like fiction in general, though. Like in a lot of cases, this, especially the stuff that we watch or whatever, or what we read, you can't like actually relate to the struggles of these characters if they're like living in some fucking fantasy land where they're like slaying dragons or some shit. Like, you can't actually relate to that.
Well,
but that doesn't mean
I could throw some pushback to that. You could relate to the scenarios around them. You could relate to Usopp's fear in One Piece of being like an average dude surrounded by these warriors that could fucking blow up mountains, and he's scared to death. Like, the average Joe could relate to that.
Yeah, you can relate to their emotions, but you can't relate to this specific like events that's going on. But that doesn't mean that you can't still, empathize with the characters and still get invested in what's going on, right? Like,
Right.
One of my favorite animes is Fate Zero. Very unfortunately, I can't relate to summoning a cute like anime girl version of King Arthur. But that doesn't mean I still can't empathize with what's going on.
With enough creativity, I could put myself in almost any character's shoes, and I could make it that it's not like ridiculous. It's just like, hey, this is just metaphorically speaking about this in my life. This is metaphorically speaking about that in my life.
Mm-hmm.
There's a way to actually do that, because I do that often just out of enjoyment. Whether like if I'm watching something boring, especially, I'll be like, well, how can I relate to one of these motherfuckers? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'll be like, okay, well, that character, okay, I can see, yeah, that kind of reminds me of this, or.
What
So
about
you
the
relate to
opposite way?
Makoto.
Makoto.
School days.
No, absolutely not. I'll be honest with you. I'm the furthest from that. I'm that dude, and it's not on no simp thing. I'm not like, and that's where they try to use all these terms to misdirect whether you have support for something or whether you're just living a certain way. Like, you're virtual signaling or something. Like, no, I'm not virtual signaling. I just really love and care about these people because they're my people. That's it. Like, I hate that when they try to brand things so that it'll tear you away from what you feel. Like,
Right.
You're doing this, no, that's me. I care.
That's
So-
fair. Okay, but what about the opposite way? So, like, if you listen to somebody like Eminem, like, do you like the same question? But
You hear
in
Kevin be
reverse?
like, "Yeah, man, I feel you, Em." Like,
Well, with certain times, because of me, how can I say this? I guess because I'm Puerto Rican, right? And even though Puerto Rican is really, in reality, if you do the research, it's basically we're black, but we was just on an island separated from our people and whatnot. Like, that's the reality of it. But that's a conversation that can't really dive too into without well, actually, okay, whatever. You're right. Gotcha. But I guess I've always been able to also relate to that side in certain aspects, not in the crazy aspect of like some of that shit is like the stuff with his mom and stuff like that. Like, no, you're just sick. Like, that's all it is. You're sick to be making those type of records. In retrospect, when you're young and you're angry at your parents, you think like, oh yeah, man, my mom pissed me off or whatever. But when you get older, it's like, no, my mom was doing exactly what she needed to do. And I shouldn't have been listening to an Eminem record, all of this shit, being angry about some stupid shit. But like other records where Eminem, for example, like one of his best albums that they say is a terrible album, Revival.
oh, okay.
Revival is one of his best albums because it was a very conscious album. It was a very, very conscious album, and that was his best album, in my opinion, one of, if not.
Better than the Marshall Mathers LP?
There's no
In
way.
terms of musically, no. I'm saying in terms of the importance, the value that it provides to the world, it undoes a lot of the damage. And people that you if you can't handle the strong messaging behind some of the stuff, like, yeah, but M has shown through and through that, yeah, maybe he's made mistakes in the past, whatever, but M is that dude. Like, he's never folded. He stood on what he stood for, even though it destroyed his fan base. He stood where he stood against the whole Trump situation and stuff like that. Like, M has been solid on his foundations, and that album, Revival, it was filled with that. The marketing behind it, that's questionable, like, the American flag thing and all that other stuff, and then him being directed, because, in reality, when you're at that level, and I'm not trying to provide excuses because it's still corny, but nevertheless, at that level, I'd imagine he was directed of, hey, this is the marketing plan, so he just rolls with whatever they tell him to do because he's a massive star. Still inexcusable for corny shit, but the content itself and the album have, like, I've listened to the album through and through with a lot of the records. Some of them, there's a few, like, I'm not saying it's a masterpiece, there's some skips on there, but there's a lot of very strong and rich content of, again, him standing on what he said.
Man, listen, I'm not trying to hear about Eminem right now. I'm trying to hear about this Kendrick album.
Y'all the ones that brought that shit up.
I didn't bring it up. So, did you have any standout tracks on that album? Before we get into that, did everybody listen to the album?
I wanted to listen to it, but I listened to a few tracks. I wanted to at least listen to some of it.
Let me pull up the track listing real quick.
Wait, hold on. I'm gonna blow this place up right now. Kendrick's new album, it's trash.
Okay. Yo, can we fire him episode 1?
Yo.
We can get a new editor.
That's
Okay.
it, Chris. We had a good run.
Track 1, United in Grief.
Yeah.
Amazing record. It was kind of very eerie, and it made me wonder what he was going to say in the beginning, where she's saying, tell them you're... And then it stops right there, and he says, I've been going through something for 5 years, basically. I forget he said.
He actually gave the exact amount of days since the last release of his last album.
That's what that was, the date? Okay.
Yeah, so when
he said, I've been going through something for 1,000... Yeah.
His last album was 1 month ago, 5 years ago, on the exact date.
Just for people to know, I was joking. Just for the audience that they think I was being serious.
Were you?
Oh no! We see what it is.
I'm gonna get all the hate comments now. They're like, "Who's this guy?"
No, man, you should have doubled down. You should have tripled down.
Now I'm just gonna hate him, just because.
It's the worst rap album I've ever listened to in my fucking life.
N95, another amazing record.
Yo, that transition from United in Grief to N95 was crazy. And he really got busy on that shit.
Worldwide Steppers. Is that the first time we hear Kodak?
Yes.
Worldwide, this is the big Steppers. That record, another hard one and the beat, I love when he switches, if I'm remembering correctly, that's the record where he starts off rapping like normal Kendrick, and then he says, my body is like a god, playing Baby Shark, the body of a god, playing Baby Shark with my daughter, while sharks are outside, protecting against the water. I forget exactly the lyrics, but like, the way he switches right there, from just average Kendrick to like, no, let me be serious and tell you how amazing I am and what I'm dealing with.
Yeah, he like in these first 3 records alone, like he's already like demonstrating like his range and being able to like stick with his own style of rapping, but like seamlessly be able to weave through like what the new rappers are doing, right? Like the Atlanta, the Migos flow, where it's type or whatever, and then switching back to like what he's doing, and he's like mastered the art of being able to rap off beat without it sounding offbeat.
Yo, quickly, why is it, and it's fascinating, and don't get me wrong, I understand skill level is a major factor, but it's not even necessarily a why is it, because that's kind of rhetorical, but more so it's an interesting thing to think about of how great and huge Kendrick Cole and Drake are. They've never had a run of owning a sound of people copying them. Like, they copied each other. Well, not really Kendrick, to be honest with you. The other two have kind of taken little pieces, I feel, from Kendrick in certain regards. But shout outs to both of them. Not trying to...
I mean, Drake did have his own sound that everybody actually copied, which was the
auto-tune, like singing with the auto-tune and then going rapping, even though Mos Def really did that first.
Yeah, I mean,
not really the auto tune. I think it was more the just like almost an R&B feel to his rap.
Like Mos Def, except Mos Def just wasn't as mainstream as Drake ultimately became.
Wasn't T-Pain the first one that did auto-tune?
That was Toronto sound, by the way. That was
and I sound so ignorant saying about auto-tune. Like, yeah, I wasn't trying to say that Drake brought auto-tune in. I was trying to more so say that he would blend in the natural singing, and I guess auto-tune did come later with Drake as well. Like, it was already out with T-Pain, of course, but he didn't start incorporating using auto-tune to his singing until a little bit into it. He started off initially just like his voice singing and then rapping or back and forth or whatnot. I guess I was just more so trying to say that, you know, that Mos Def thing in general is what I think he popularized, but he didn't trendset it. I guess you would say, yeah, that's a trendsetter.
Drake brought self vulnerability as the primary subject matter. And that was weird.
Yo, what the fuck? Yo, you good? What the fuck? You got a drone in there, dog? You want a drone right now?
The camera was just like...
It's supposed to be like one of those like auto following things.
And basically what you were saying right now is that whatchamacallit, Drake brought forth what Joe had been doing to a little more mainstream,
right? Yeah. He brought it to the mainstream.
Again, taking some other dude shit and saying, "Yo, look at this."
but Kanye was doing the same thing, though, right? Like,
Kanye, like I've never looked at Kanye as like at the very least, once I understood what really hip hop is and an MC and the difference between like rappers and hip hop artists and just all of the nuances, shall I say, to all of this. Like Kanye, can you even describe him in a word? Like he's just something else, dog. Like he's
an entertainer,
a force.
Like
he
wasn't a rapper because he was a rapper and a producer. He was an entertainer because he also focused on the art side of it, as far as like the visuals and the storytelling.
But entertainer even just kind of simplifies him because he does fashion. Fashion isn't really entertainment.
Well, in terms of music, because if we start getting outside of that, then we'd be like, well, Jay-Z's not just a rapper; he's a business mogul. You know what I
mean? They're pretty much both moguls. I guess that would be the.
But Drake definitely like brought the focal point of your music, because every rapper has like a record or two on an album where it's like they're vulnerable, they're talking about whatever they're going through, but then like that's all.
Kanye does that all the time.
It's like the deep B cuts. Kanye didn't even really start doing it to 808s, which inspired Drake, but Kanye didn't stick with it after 808s.
Yo, how did you feel when that whole era came in, when Kanye premiered that Love Lockdown on the stage in the suit, and he's just singing all of a sudden, "Keep your love," and the drums is all different. It's more so like tribal, like. I
thought it was a crazy moment, and you never really pay much attention to the moments in music that's going to change the trajectory of it forever. So even before Love Lockdown, we didn't think that Wayne coming out with Lollipop was going to change the history of music, because everybody was like, yo,
she like a lollipop.
Yeah, it was like, yo, what is this? Like this.
Did either of you two gentlemen, because I know we are very heavy in hip hop territory, but I'm sure y'all have heard of the freaking Lollipop song by Lil Wayne, right? What do y'all think of that song?
It kind of depends how you want to.
What did you think of that song when it came out?
Did it change the scope of music on where you were listening to music at all? Did it morph anything around like the scene of music for you?
No.
I don't think for me it did. Like, I mean, I was very familiar. I listened to that whole album.
The Carter 3?
Yeah. But for me, it was more like it was catchy. Like, it was a catchy song. I get like why it was like so popular, but I mean, I don't know. Like, what do you mean? Like, just in terms of like, did I actually like it, or?
Well, did you like it? Did it do? Because like at that point, that was Wayne's peak of his run, I would say. Like by the Carter 4, I felt like it felt a little bit like he, even though the numbers supposedly were higher, whatever on that.
I wouldn't. Carter 3 was his peak, I don't think, because after Carter 3, isn't that when he went on his mixtape run with like the Drought and?
No, that was leading up to all of that. That was the summer leading, not even summer, like a year leading up to that.
The Drought series and then the Dedication series, that was all before?
I think there was more tapes that came somewhere in between, but that was all of that leading into there was the like Father Like Son album, him and Birdman in 06. And then in between that, I remember leading into that, there was a lot of these leaks that a lot of people were saying that supposedly they were leaking Wayne's music. That's how we got that record, Something You Forgot.
Mm-hmm.
And Only, like all of those really freaking awesome records that never came out on albums. That was all like leaks that they would put on those mixtapes.
And that was probably him, and he was too high to know.
Like, yeah, drama, just take this.
So I kind of want to ask a question, because I was thinking about this, and I want you guys to correct me on this, because I'm sure I'm wrong. But I feel, at least based on what I've listened to of rap and hip hop, that the lyrics tend to be very direct. That's not to say there isn't ever any poetry to it, but that more often than not, the lyrics are very like in your face, and it's very much like this is how it is. Would you say that's accurate?
That's mainstream hip hop?
Yeah,
okay.
I was gonna say
and not all of it either. Like for example, a Kendrick album, there's like almost quadruple 5 layers to certain songs of you'll think you know what it is, and then you listen to it again and you think oh no, it's something deeper than that, and then you keep on discovering multiple layers of really where he's going and how he's shooting in multiple, like there's certain artists, like of course on the radio, whatever you listen to on the radio is 100% 9 times out of 10, and even that will be encoded as well. Like there'll be certain songs of like, okay, for example, The Weeknd, he's not a rapper, but I'm just giving an example of coded music.
Right, sure.
I can't feel my face when I'm with you is him talking about blow.
Okay.
That's a whole record about how what his relationship with doing blow.
Right. But
Yeah, wouldn't that be also like what do you call that? Man, what's
Double
that?
entendre?
There's a word. Yes, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, double entendre, triple entendre.
Yeah,
'cause
so-
it's implied to make you think it's a love song when really it's a drug song. It's not a love song.
Yeah.
It's a drug song.
Okay, now I just brought it up because normally, at least the rock that music that I listen to, a lot of it is very poetic, and it can be really difficult to understand what it is the artist is getting at. So, and again, just
Country
based on
music direct than rap.
what is it?
Country music, I think country music may be more direct than rap with the lyrics.
Country, no, yeah, country music is more like a guy's like telling you a story, and he's like,
Not always
I
a
fuck-
guy. Hold on. Tracy Chapman is coming through, dog. You ain't gonna disrespect my Tracy Chapman.
I'm not saying it's
we
only
got a
guys.
fast car. Let me not sing that before we get copyright strike down. That family don't play. Her family don't play. you
but
sing
like-
one note, like yo, lawyer, get him.
But no, to Rob's point, like I feel like a lot of country music is like, you know, they're singing you a story, right? Like this motherfucker went into the woods, punched a bear in the face. You know, like
Yeah. it's not much to like not get out of that. Like, all right, my
Well, what if the
Now
bear's a
I went to
metaphor?
town. She was smiling heavy. I said, okay, oh, hey.
Mama said, put down the beer, but now I'm in jail. Like,
And I keep riding the waves we go.
Is there any
But-
spots like mainly in the U.S. that are like super in? Like when I think of like
Tennessee.
country, I think of like the South. But is there more specific than that?
Tennessee.
Alabama, Georgia, Reno. You know, those
I
kind
mean,
of
even in the
places.
Midwest, honestly, it just depends
really?
on it depends on the town you're in. If you're in
Yeah.
a town that is like mostly X, Y, and Z, you're gonna get mostly X, Y, and Z.
So the Kendrick album.
Yeah,
Here's
that- that-
Kendrick. Let's talk about country music.
Okay, hold on. Let's go back quickly. Let's run a little bit more quickly through the the track
We don't have to
listing.
go through the whole track list.
Track listing. Okay, I want to pick out my standouts. Then moving forward from there. Okay, so the first two already are the first three records. Honestly, United in Grief and 95 Worldwide Steppers are standouts to me.
Three.
Jumping over Rich Spirit.
The-
God, I love that record.
It sounds like a song I would make. I won't even hold you.
No. Look at this though, dog. This is genius. He just made a record where he made fasting cool.
Yes.
That is the important part of it. Bitch, I can't even remember the record right now, but he says, or the lyrics right now, but bitch, I'm fasting, and he's like bigging himself up, making somebody that's listening to that record like I'm attractive, like that is fire, like
Yeah.
mwah, chef's kiss on a club record with meaning and value.
That song was like that one was probably the one that I kept on repeat the most off my first listen. In fact, it's probably the second song that I ran back on the first listen like at least 4 times before I got to move on to the next record.
I'm gonna be honest. The next record I can't listen to because I listened to it a couple times and it just triggers my PTSD. We Cried Together with Taylor Page. That record, it just triggers my PTSD. I mean, we've all been through them, but I've been through some really bad freaking relationships where
Yeah.
I've been through that sometimes times 1,000. And when I think of it even right now, just thinking about it right now, I'm like, ooh, if I'm being honest.
And I know I saw the sentiment of it's like split down the middle, where it's like some people like it, and then some people think it's not a good song. But what I think people don't realize is it's a real song. Like there are real couples that like argue like that, and I'm sure everybody knows at least one person that argues with their partner like that.
That
And it's
dog,
just, like,
and
toxic.
the toxic level, dog. One of the things that makes it even worse is the fact that that part where they start, screwing, it's like almost it becomes a how can I
Because
say
that
this?
happens too, right? The makeup sex.
Yeah, and it's like the greatest thing in the world. Like, yeah, I'm sorry, and all of that other stupid shit. And it's like, that's what the trap of toxicity. And I even hate using that word, to be honest with you. We got to find a different word or whatever.
Toxicity?
Yeah. Like, it.
I knew a guy that would get into arguments with his girlfriend just for the makeup sex.
Okay,
I'm not
that
gonna lie.
would be-
I've been guilty of that. I've been guilty of that because it's fucking so like it's the weirdest thing, but it feels so good.
And Fornev just got canceled.
No, I mean, telling somebody, hey man,
Not for never a professional gaslighter for cooch.
anyway, let's move on.
Next track.
Timestamp killer, where are you? No.
And Mark.
Yo, okay, so listen. Ghostface skated all over Purple Heart.
Oh, no question, no fucking question, bro.
Oh my god, man. He still has it between Ghostface and Raekwon, man. Like, when you hear those two on the microphone, even today, like it's like they haven't missed a step. Same with Red and Meth. But Ghostface and
Okay, I'm gonna just jump out and say it, and I want for those who don't know who this artist is, Summer Walker, look her up. I'm not gonna lie, Summer Walker is just so freaking beautiful. I love Summer Walker so much. Like, just
water.
yo, hearing her on the record, and then just I ain't gonna lie, just thinking about her, Summer Walker's so freaking beautiful. I love Summer Walker.
I really like her too. I don't listen to much of her solo stuff, but whenever I hear her on a chorus or that lay a verse down real quick, I'll be vibing to the bop.
She's amazing.
I don't even know who this is.
She's a popular singer. She's what is she, like 2-3 albums deep now? I think she dropped
two albums. Over It and Still Over It.
Oh, yeah, she used to be signed to not Metro Boomin.
London on the Track.
London on the Track. London on the Track.
Was she signed to him?
Not signed. My words is all over the place. She was she
Right.
probably had business with him too, though. Realistically, because he was producing everything, so they did have some type of business.
Yeah, right. But I mean, splits. That's like a no brainer unless like you let somebody talk you out of your percentage.
God, I ain't gonna lie. Like, whatchamacallit, I don't know. I'm just gonna end up fanboying over Summer Walker. So y'all just carry on.
I actually had a friend that produced on her last album. Shout out to my guy Dijon Styles, but she does have like some crazy bangers, and what she did on Purple Hearts was also phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, I would be repetitive, but just being honest, everybody that played a part in this album, they contributed something. It wasn't just like mailed in like quickly. Like they showed up. They knew, oh, King Kendrick is calling. I'm showing up.
Even Kodak's like spoken word moment.
Bird, yeah, that was like what, like him being a major part of the album. Okay, how did you feel about like Kodak being a big deal, considering the fact that Kendrick is very conscious? Kodak has been shown in the past to be the opposite at the very least.
I liked it a lot, and I've actually lately been coming around on Kodak's music. There was the verse.
Super Gremlin.
Super Gremlin. I like the production on Super Gremlin more than
We could have been superstars.
But Voodoo, that was on. I think that was on Future's album that came out last week. I really liked him on Voodoo, and then he had a verse on somebody else's album that I really liked. So I've been fucking with Kodak lately. I might give his solo stuff a try. I didn't think it was a bad choice to put him on there because it gets you in touch with the current generation. Neither one of them had to compromise their own style of art. It fit perfectly. It lets you know Kendrick is still in touch with the streets now. So being able to speak to who we all grew up with him, right? But then the kids that we didn't grow up with.
Yeah. And I guess just to go through the remaining tracks, like almost everything on here, like, okay, Count Me Out, dope. Crown, dope. Silent Hill, I don't like it as much as most people
Don't
say,
like-
being honest. Like, I like Kodak, like, more so than, like, I like Kodak's presence on the album more so than I like that record, if I'm being honest. I just like Kodak being involved. It feels like, I don't know, the collaboration, maybe the crossover that nobody expected but worked. But just that record I wasn't, like, the biggest fan of, oddly enough.
Is that a reference to the game
What?
Silent Hill?
Hill?
I don't know, because I don't know. If
I saw some people speculating that, funny enough. Yeah.
Because like that's very specific. Like, I don't know.
It could be, but if it is,
I guess I would need to listen to that, because I only listened to like a handful of tracks. I didn't listen to that one, so I guess I'll have to listen to it myself.
Smile on my face, but are you happy for me? Yo, Baby Keem is definitely going to be the best outlet we have to Kendrick, and I'm not mad at it because Baby Keem is growing on me very quickly.
the Savior
Then we got Savior, yep.
pretty hard, and Savior was also just as good. When,
And then, yo, dog,
hold on.
record,
When he's like, "Future's not your savior, I'm not your savior."
Cole is not your
Cole's
savior.
not your savior, and I like that he included himself in there so it doesn't come off like it's a diss.
Oh, okay, because I want to just flat out say that Auntie Diaries record, me having a lot of relatives from that community and almost similar situations with those relatives, it was like, whoa. It
Actually,
shocked me.
I related to that record pretty heavy because when I was 14, I think 14 or 15, I guess I kind of had like a similar encounter where you could say I was pretty homophobic when I was a teenager, not because I was
Because the culture taught us. The culture taught us that was okay.
not even the culture, the church taught us that that's how we're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I come from a very Christian background, so I had an uncle who was on my dad's side who was homosexual, but I didn't know. So I remember telling him like, "Oh man,
And just, hey, quickly, whatever you don't want, just let us know. None of this.
I don't care." I was a kid, I was a kid.
Okay.
I didn't know any better, and I think it's okay to say like, be able to admit like when you did know better, and as long as you learned, right? As long as you learn from those mistakes. But yeah, I remember telling them like, "Oh man, I hate gay people." I was saying some outlandish shit, and I didn't know, right? But as I got older and started experiencing life, because I don't even think I was in high school yet thinking like that, which is another thing where it's like racism isn't inherent, it's taught. Homophobia isn't inherent, it's taught. Like most of these negative things that we pick up through life is taught in one way or another. And not everybody.
Bro, in fucking middle school, people would bully each other so fucking viciously by saying, "Yo, you're fucking gay. You suck dick. You're the F word." Just like, it was vicious. For me, especially in middle school, fucking vicious, man. I got into so many fights because of that stuff.
Yeah, dude. When you even think about like the types of words you could use in TV and stuff, like that word was like not a word that was bleeped out. Like you could say that on screen.
It's only been like more recently when people started realizing like, man, that's a really like hurtful, painful word that people that I remember when I was high school, middle school, whatever, just throw that word around like nothing, like didn't mean anything, but like that word represents like people dying because of their sexual orientation. It's
Right.
fucking disgusting.
How far does everybody in this room believe in the phrase and term that words have power? Like, how far do you believe in that?
200%. I believe it. I 100% believe. 1,000% believe in manifestation through speech. I mean, even in the Bible, I don't want to reference it, but even that says like the tongue holds power, so be careful of what you speak into existence. Philosophy and the way energy manifests and transfers, and what you put out into the universe will give back to you. You'll find what you seek. You put out negative energy. bad shit's gonna happen to you. You know, you do bad shit's gonna happen to you, or the people around you. You know. So I think that bro, even rappers like understand that there's power in what you say in your music, because what you say in your music can influence your life, those around you, and those that ingest the content that you put out. And
Life imitates art.
life imitates art, and art is inspired by life.
How do you two? You guys are awfully quiet on this one. What's going on over there?
I'm wrapping my head around what exactly this is supposed to mean.
How do you feel about the power of words? Do you feel like words is just like feelings wise? Like, do you feel like there's a such thing as manifestation? Do you believe, don't believe? Like, how far do you feel regarding words? Like, are words just words to you, or?
I think what we say affects other people, for sure. I mean, if it didn't, then our society wouldn't be predicated on the fact that we can communicate with each other.
Yeah, I kind of see it from that analytical standpoint too. So it's like, for one, it kind of depends on how you look at things, right? Because on one hand, it's like, should you be allowed to say anything? Because then that brings up a whole other question, right? But in just pure essence of, can words mean and be powerful and affect other people? Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
That's so clear to me. I can say something to you and offend you or hurt your feelings, or right? So yeah, words absolutely hold power.
You know, someone could say something, especially if this is someone that means something to you. They could say something that could ruin your whole fucking day, your whole week,
Absolutely.
even.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and it could be something like, for them might be innocuous, but like it could get into your head and can really fuck with you. And I think people really underestimate the psychological angle of things as well. Whether we're talking about words or art, a lot of what we do and say is kind of unknown to us on a subconscious level. We're doing and saying things that are very revealing about ourselves in ways that we're not conscious of. So in that perspective as well, words hold a lot of power against us even.
Yeah. Because
My man went deep. God damn.
we say what we think we're supposed to say, because that's what we're told we're supposed to think.
Think of it this way. Entire civilizations were created and won wars purely because of words, right? So that's like,
And women.
yeah, I think anybody who argues against that, being like, oh, they're just words, like, no. Think about it. Like, imagine, like, even just back in the day, like, your country's going to war with another country, you know, somebody who's leading the charge, like, those words before that charge happens
That morale booster.
Yo,
Exactly.
Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Cao Cao Mengde. This dude, dog.
Yep.
I'll never forget.
I know exactly what you're gonna say.
He had an army of 75,000 people, and he was facing an army of 750,000 people. Or was it 1 million? I forget if they hit the million or not. It might have been 1 million. And they show up to the battlefield. He got his guys already there, and he shows up to the battlefield. They show up to the battlefield. He's laying on like a fucking blanket on the floor. Mind you, there's 1 million people. There's 1 million people there to kill him, a literal million, and he's just laid out on the blanket, chilling, laughing. And he looks at the guy in the face, and he says, you don't know, and he runs off. And he threw the guy off because he's like, oh, he's just being a clown. He don't understand. He don't realize that was to throw the guy off from understanding. His plot was the sun and the direction of it was right in front of them, in front of the forces. So pretty much they will be blinded slightly by the sun. And that's how he managed to defeat an army of almost 1 million people with 75,000. Using words to manipulate this guy to not even realize that he's laughing at you to throw you off, so you don't understand that the sun is in your eyes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think we also need, just looking back on this fucking podcast, the fact that you two in particular have spent all this time ruminating on Kendrick's words. Think about that.
Yeah.
Oh,
And music
right
is
there we go. Yeah.
the way people like can play around with words and shit. It's crazy.
I mean, as an artist, like from my past thing, I understand. What's been your thing when it comes to words when you're trying to, what is your process, shall I say, of when you're trying to lay a verse? Do you just like spit her off the top? Like, how do you come up with the words for a verse for you?
Man, I think it depends on like the feeling of the composition, right? Like, what type of energy is the beat giving me first? That'll let me know, do I want to go conscious, or do I just want to have fun? If I want to go conscious, then I'm writing it down. Okay, well, what do I want to say? If I just want to have fun, I don't think about it. I don't even write it down. I'll just blurt some shit out and then put words to it later, I guess, or refine the words, maybe take something out of what I said, like, no, let me say it this way, let me say it that way. So it really depends on the record, on how I come up with verses.
Let's wrap this Kendrick shit up real quick. Hold on. Let's just, because we'll be here forever talking about Kendrick, and I want to at least get one or two extra pieces of not Auntie Diaries. That is a legendary song. That's crazy. Mr. Morale, dope song. Mother I Sober, very, very sensitive, very sad song. And Mirror, I cry every time I listen to Mirror.
Mirror was it for me. That was
that one makes me break down. And just honestly, it's the best album this year. I really think that there's no more need to debate on who's the king for that generation. I think this kind of just stamped it. It's over. There's no more debate on. It's like now it's okay. Who's the king? Lil Baby and whoever the fuck is the new generation. But that cemented it.
Speaking of Lil Baby, like I saw like that he may have been a potential. Well, for those that don't know, like this label known as YSL, Young Slime Life Records, who was ran by Young Thug. So Young Thug, like
Young-ish here, right? Yo, Young-ish.
so they just had a situation where like they got hit with a RICO charge, and the paperwork came out of other potential collaborators that they're looking at. And Lil Baby is one of them, and I think that kind of sucks because Lil Baby, he's at a very, very, very sweet spot in his career right now.
He could be basically the next to take over as the biggest rapper of, like, how Drake has been the biggest rapper for like a decade. Lil Baby could take it. Some people are saying Jack Harlow. I don't know after that, the talk of his latest album, but Lil Baby for me right now is the best to take it if there's going to be a new, after this generation, so to speak.
Assuming, like, hopefully he gets to walk,
I hope he was protected enough. I mean, they had him all over the world away from crime. It's just a matter of how deep it goes into his involvement with, any alleged, shall I say, crime, because we don't know what is going on, and just salute to all of these people. I wish them the best. Condolences. We R.I.P. to Lil Keed. He was one of the last YSL members that was basically free of the artist side of things.
But yeah, outside of that, like Lil Baby, see with YSL gone, like this is going to be a very different, like the soundscape of hip hop music is about to shift drastically, and it may go like towards Detroit sound, which is making a lot of noise right now, or it could go. West Coast has been like coming out with like some pretty hot dudes.
When is New York gonna get it?
New York had their time, but New York,
I want it back.
they haven't really found their own sound yet. Like people will say drill.
I don't like drill, so I'm gonna just keep it real. I'm not a fan of drill.
I'm pretty sure the last thing someone said was they want to like motorboat Doja Cat's boobs.
By the way, Rob, how do you feel about Doja Cat? Out of curiosity, considering her colorful history.
I've been listening to Doja Cat since before the Moo song.
Oh damn! I got put onto by Moo.
So
I wanted to.
I only know that one hit. Like, that's the only song I know.
I used to listen to, not listen to, but I used to watch Trick 2G on Twitch. Well, I still watch him actually. He plays League, and in his playlist there was that song. I forgot the name of that song. She had a song that somebody remixed, and it was like really fucking good. Do you guys like ever just get on like social media and just see like absolutely terrible takes?
All the time. All the time.
Where do you want to begin, buddy?
Oh, so I'm glad you asked me. So I was on Twitter the other day, and I saw somebody.
Of course, it came from Twitter.
Of course, it came from Twitter, right? And I saw this debate about like Hinata being able to solo like Luffy and Ichigo if they didn't have their powers, and it was just like straight hand-to-hand combat. Yo, if you have to hand
At first, I thought you were gonna say hand to hand their dicks, like
twin palms.
the real gentle fist, right?
Yeah.
Naruto's in the
canceled
back
again.
going,
So
"Get her, girl,
Believe it.
I'm,
believe it."
Not that I am.
if you have to handicap your character to get them the dub, why are we having this versus? Like, what's the point?
That was one of the things I had to realize with the Goku versus Superman thing. If I have to pick a version of Superman, like, and I'll admit it, I don't know if anybody ever seen a couple of those videos. They did some numbers back in the day of me screaming about Death Battles, Goku versus Superman. And, I was being a little whiny baby about it. No, my Goku, he's the greatest person in the whole world. But, in actuality, yeah, Goku could wipe the snot off of Superman from Superman, the animated series. But there's comic book versions of Superman that, he's just like a god. So, no, Goku, if I got to pick out that version, I can admit years later, then no, Superman clearly, clears as much as it hurts my feelings because I love Son Goku. It's the truth.
Oh man,
That's where comics are a little bit it's a weird way to compare things because it's exactly that, right? Where it's like typically in anime and manga, like it's just one story, right?
It's only one author.
Yeah,
Like
the other ones are like 100 authors to 100 stories with their different version takes. So it's like what? It's impossible to compare.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Alan Moore's version of Superman is going to be completely different from like Grant Morrison. It's like,
Yeah. I mean, like you could by those like parameters, you could literally line up any anime character. Like I could be like, yo, so if Goku, right, was the size of fucking Kiba and his dog versus like if Hamtaro ate a Super Mario mushroom, but like fucking Kiba couldn't.
My man just said Hamtaro ate a Mario mushroom.
Do you see how many hoops you have to jump through to get the equal ground fight scenario to say who would win? Like if you have to do all that, what's the point? Why?
It's like, you could throw the argument, well, who would win? Naruto at Baryon mode versus Goku in Dragon Ball. Sure, Naruto probably get a version of Goku in Dragon Ball. Let's get to, Z. So there's no point even having the discussion because that there is a form of Goku that will always clear Naruto. Therefore, Goku is stronger. Period.
Yeah. Now, it's a more fair fight. And spoiler alert for anybody that's not there yet, but if we take like a Gear 5 Luffy, right, versus fucking in-game Naruto, not Boruto Naruto, just in-story Naruto, that's a more believable fight. Because we've seen Luffy grab thunderbolts out the sky, right?
Jack Nicholson or Danny DeVito? Who wins?
Jack Nicholson.
He
would punt. He would fucking kick Danny DeVito across the room like a fucking ball.
No, he was the Penguin, bro. He'll bite his nose. Fuck out of here, dog. He's gonna go, I don't like you.
He's gonna waddle. He's gonna just waddle to him.
Okay, wait. So Jim Carrey's Riddler versus new Riddler.
Oh, Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey.
That's the Riddler that I grew up on. The new Riddler feels like a dude that's going to be waiting in the Walmart parking lot to drug me and drag me in his van or some shit. Like, yo.
Yeah. The new Riddler is more vicious, but like in terms of just pure physicality, the dude's like a fucking like
wimp.
Like an incel. Like he's just a fucking pathetic loser. Like
But you gotta, what was it? Edward Nigma? He was an incel loser before he became the Riddler, right?
That is true. But hey, we're talking about ultimate form.
Yeah,
his ultimate form is Riddler.
These are year two. Well, that Batman. These are year two people. So of course he's gonna feel like scrubbish. right?
Yeah.
Most superhero movies we get outside of the
Oh,
origin
we're not gonna do this discussion. See, people don't know this is technically episode 2, but we're gonna call it episode 1. People don't understand that this Batman about the Batman movie debate that we'll have, there'll be blood.
Yeah, there's no reason to get there.
we don't even get there, but to get back to the original point, like, please stop making me go through 20 different arcs of nerfing to get your favorite character to beat somebody that you hate in a series. It's silly.
I just find like the whole like power scaling shit like to just be super uninteresting. Like I do not give a fuck if Goku's farts can like beat up
melt Superman's steel or some shit.
Like I don't care.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's like every universe is like obviously the story is meant to be within its own universe, right? And I get the fun in like, you know, comparing things, but it's almost like pointless to even use Dragon Ball in any of these comparisons because it's just like, okay, we get it. Dragon Ball characters are insanely overpowered, right? You've got Yamcha, Krillin, etc. These guys can blow up planets. You know, we can make fun of them all day saying they're weak, but as soon as you put them into someone else's universe, they're literally gods, right? But it's just like, yeah. Like, so it's like
you take Krillin, who's bottom tier, like Dragon Ball universe, and then you throw him in.
Be careful, yo. That's my favorite character. So like,
he loves Krillin, bro.
But power level
I'm
doesn't
a
have.
fanboy of Krillin.
But like a power level doesn't have any like correlation with how good they are as a character. They can be a weak scrub, but still be a great character.
Yeah, he'll Kienzen you all day.
I mean, yes and no, because we saw when like Goku and Krillin were just sparring, like Krillin was like, "Yo, let me see like what your punches feel like now," and I still
You talking about GT?
No, this was in Super.
No, Super. Yeah.
And
okay.
I personally think Goku.
Why the fuck did I go to GT?
Goku was.
That's a legendary moment though. Don't sleep on that moment. The final episode of GT.
Even though Krillin like told Goku don't hold back, he definitely held back, and that put him through like how many mountains?
Oh yeah.
So
for sure, Goku could have instant killed him.
Like, I only say bottom tier in terms of like,
could have sent him to another planet, literally.
Yeah, but you put Krillin, that same Krillin, in a different shonen universe, and the story gets different because even by their standards, he would be like god tier level to them.
Yeah.
100%.
So
So then you guys Krillin couldn't fly, and you didn't have solar flare, then.
Yeah, and if you didn't have all that power, then be like, yeah, no, I honestly one of my favorite episodes was in Super when they had Krillin go up against Gohan and Goku, like getting ready for the Tournament of Power.
Remember that crossover they did with Super and My Chemical Romance?
Oh, the special AMV.
That was a legendary time.
Speaking of pointless versus matches, Fornev, do you think that versus is still like needed now that we're kind of transitioning, I guess, back to normalcy to some degree?
It needs to morph into a live tour. That's clearly nobody's really into it like that anymore. I mean, granted, I'm curious as to how much more do Swizz and Tim benefit from this, because if they don't I don't really give a shit anymore. If they like sold it off and they completely get nothing from this anymore, then I really don't care. Like I was really like, hey yo, this is for the culture, blah blah blah. But I believe they sold or they made a big deal, you know, with some company. I forget if it was Apple.
It was Apple, but it was for streaming rights because Instagram Live was having like some streaming limitations. Are you too familiar with Versus?
No,
I'm not sure what you're talking about right now. Versus?
Wow, you know, in our world, like that's like the hugest thing, you know, it's something constantly talking. That's crazy that in other people's worlds, literally, like it doesn't even exist. Wow.
No, yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about.
You know when they would put the artists?
Oh no, wait. So to give you like a very simplified explanation of it, take Battle of the Bands and make it rappers, legendary rappers. So take your like, say what, fucking Korn versus. I don't know, whoever makes music like them, right? And they would play either.
Shout out to Korn.
either their biggest hits or like hits that they've been featured on, or like their deep cuts, and people would, like, the audience and the judges would vote like which song was better that the artist picked. And
Okay.
they go 20 rounds.
20 rounds, 20 songs.
20 rounds for 20 songs. First artist would go first. Each match up, and then the second half, the other artist would go first, and then the other ones would come up with the response. So they started this
As a producer battle, I think, right? Wasn't it initially like
yes, it
Tim
started
and
off,
Swiss were battling or some shit?
Yeah, so two legendary producers, Timbaland and Swiss Beats, did a producer battle on Instagram Live, and it went crazy, right? So
Everybody
like, hey,
was
what if
hundreds
we
of thousands of people watching.
They were like, what if we did the same thing, but we take legendary hip hop acts and we match them up of, like, how people have conversations of who's like a better rapper than this other person. And they started doing that on Instagram Live. So it was like it was the closest you could get to watching a concert when you couldn't leave the house yet.
Okay.
The pandemic.
But now that we're kind of transitioning out of that, it's like, well, do we still need that?
Not as much.
I think so too. I think it's kind of ran its course.
I just hope
versus
Tim and
idea.
Swiss got paid out the wazoo and they could walk away with it. And everybody else that was a part of that in the beginning that got it to that point. Shout outs to them, because between like that was a moment for the culture forever with Gucci and Jeezy. That was the biggest one, I would say, right?
Yeah.
Gucci Mane and Jeezy. Like Gucci Mane and Jeezy had a big thing. Allegedly, some stuff happened between the two. Somebody's friend died. And ultimately, they had like a rivalry.
So we won't even get into that. There's like a lot.
No, I'm just saying the whole, like, that's basically their animosity that led to this big legendary moment of them being on Versus stage together and showing, like, throughout all the trouble that they went through together, they still were able to, come together. I think that was a mature moment for hip hop.
Mm-hmm. Kind of.
I mean, Gucci was a little bit, but for the most part, nobody got hurt, nobody died, nobody, you know what I'm saying? Like, everybody was on the same stage, and everybody walked away and got paid and kept on going. So,
what are you guys' like favorite like battle of the bands moments?
Battle of bands.
Or have like even legendary acts even like done anything like that? Like any type.
Man, I don't even.
I can't really think of anything.
Like, I only have what you're talking about in like the dance scene from like
Tell us about it.
Yeah, because you
So you think you
participated
can
in
dance,
competitions, right?
Yeah. I went to like Chicago, and I went to oh man, the name's slipping me at the second. What was that show by?
America's Best Dance Group.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I love that show.
Yeah. I auditioned for season 5.
Wow.
And then
really?
yeah. And then my crew made it.
You made it? Whoa, shit.
Wait,
Yeah.
Wait, this is juicy right here. So
Yeah, tell us.
So you guys auditioned for what is it? AB, America's Best, ABDC.
Yeah.
In season 5. What year is that?
Oh man, 2010? No, sorry, wait, no, later than that.
is this before or after the porn career?
This would be before the porn career, because that's where I had to resort to porn after. Because
right.
it doesn't end in a happy story.
Dancing on stage, dancing in the coochie, gotcha.
Break dancing in there.
Okay, so you guys audition season 5 and you make it. Does your time like air? Like, could we go back to season 5 and actually see you on TV?
You can't see us. You can see us at the beginning on TV. Yes. Our entire performance was on the official website. I don't know if it's still there, but it was there, because they would show the auditioners, like the top level auditioners, and so we were on there. But like how the story ends is like, I'll never forget, because it was like the most stressful day of my life, but also the most exciting. Like, we go to Chicago, audition, and it's not just one time you perform and you're done. It's all day. Like, you're constantly performing.
Wow.
And then at the last minute,
How the hell you have the stamina for some shit like that?
Is that
Dancing
you
all
don't.
day?
You're just
is that
yeah,
for the
all
sake
day.
of like filming, or is that because they actually have you battling other people to make it?
You're battling other people to make it. Yeah,
Ooh.
like you're having to they're weeding everyone out because like let's say everyone in there might have been like I don't remember the actual number, but let's say like 100 people or 150 crews. I don't know, something like that. Like just a lot of people, right? And then they get everyone to do a performance. You have to make a piece to go and do your thing.
Right.
And then right then and there, they'd be like, okay, we like you, we don't like you, and like just start weeding people out like that. And then at the last stage, so we made it through every single stage. And then at the last stage, they come into the room. There's only like maybe 10 of us left, like 10 crews left. And then they're like, oh, by the way, if you guys got the email, there's a song that you guys are supposed to make a dance for. And so that's what we're going to do now. You're going to show us that. And then we're all looking around to each other like, what song? They sent it the night of, but we were coming from Toronto. So we were driving all the way. And this is like before people had internet on
They
their phones and stuff.
screwed
Right?
y'all.
They screwed us, yeah. But it didn't end there because it got better. So one of the big dudes, so he's his name is slipping me at the moment, but he's one of the main choreographers.
Randy?
Sorry, choreographers for So You Think You Can Dance. It's him and his wife. If you ever watch that show, you'll know who I'm talking about because they're a duo, like they're a choreographer duo. And he personally came up to me and took me aside, and he's like, I'm not supposed to do this, but we love you guys. I'm going to give you guys, I'm going to rent a space for you. Do you think you can put something together like in an hour? Go, do what you can, make it happen so we can get you, because we want you. And I'll never forget that moment because I was like, oh my God, like it's all happening. So yeah, we pulled, like, luckily, like we've been performing for a long time at this point. So we had like a lot of stuff. So we're just makeshifting, putting things together, right? There's no time to learn new things. Like all you can do is like what you already have in your arsenal.
Right.
So we did that, but
style with pre-written shit.
Yes, exactly. It's 100%
Wow.
exactly the same thing. That's exactly how dance, like that's exactly like battles. Like when people are like in terms like
you got
you're never. Sometimes you're putting like something new in there. It might something that inspire you in the moment, and you'll do it. But like typically, it's like you've already made your body learn moves, right? And so you have all this preset
Ultra
stuff
instinct.
ready to go.
Exactly.
But I think it's exactly the same way. Like if you're like in a rap battle, you're gonna like you've got stuff already prepared, but then something maybe like just all of a sudden inspires you, and you just like say something you've never said before, and you're like, whoa, where'd that come from, right?
Right.
It's exactly the same thing, and then. But it put us to the test because like all of us, like we're exhausted mentally, just like we're ready to just go at each other's throats, right? Like we're all like really good friends. We've been together through tough but it was like so incredibly stressful, and you could just see like because everyone's just so mentally broken down at this point,
Right.
and we felt like we were screwed, right? So we thought we were just like we went all this way and did all this, and we're this close, and it's just all gonna crumble. But it didn't. We held it together. Everyone like worked super tight, and we did. We went out there and we performed our hearts out, and then like they loved us, and we made it. We're like, congratulations, you're on the show. And then we head back home. 1 month later, I get an email. Oh, you guys are from Canada. We can't get you guys in.
Oh no!
Yeah. That was my story. Yeah,
That's bullshit.
yeah,
Fuck.
yep.
I remember
So-
when I first heard this story, I was in disbelief.
Yeah.
So,
I was ready.
Because
My
you're
bags were
Canadian?
packed. Yeah, so they could technically get us on because
You should have bribed them with some maple syrup.
Oh man, I would have bribed them with.
Blame Canada. Blame Canada.
was it a funding thing for them? Like they just didn't want to like pay to.
It was too short notice for them to get us visas because they can get us artist visas,
God,
right?
yeah.
And the previous year they did have a Canadian crew. That's why I thought we could do it, right? But those Canadians were already like working in the U.S., so they already had visas to be able to do that, where we didn't. So for them to get all of us visas in that time frame was just not worth the hassle for them. They're like, we'll just take another group. That's basically how they looked at it. So
Oh, that sucks, dude. Fuck.
yeah.
Okay, so then for the people that don't know, like, are we able to find any of your dance crew stuff like online anywhere?
Yeah, it's all still there. I have a YouTube channel for it.
Oh, okay.
It's like old now, but it's there.
All right, so then whoever's going to be editing this video, if you could just take a second when you're doing that and drop that in the description. So
I'll put it in there.
And maybe put a clip or two on top of while we're talking of you dancing, so people could off rip see a little taste of it.
Yeah, we could do that.
That'd be pretty dope.
We're called the Union.
Not to mention, you should probably do that in some of your own videos. Now that I think about it, incorporate that dancing
Certainly.
into it.
Actually, I should get a pole right here. Right? Oh, sorry, not the stripping part of it. Oh, okay.
No, that's Atlanta dance. I'll tell you what dance I don't much care for recently, and that's this like dance of words that Elon Musk and Jack Dorsey or Darcy, whatever his last name, that they've been having on Twitter. What's that about?
Well, it looks like there's a very loose deal that they have, and based on Trump's inclusion of this and him saying he was very vague about it, but from what I gathered, it sounded like Trump was hinting at Elon has some sort of deal of being on Twitter, and if he breaks his deal, he got to probably pay like $1 billion or something to, like, if he was to leave Twitter and do something else. Like, because, you could imagine some of these celebrities, especially with these platforms that I know most people think like, oh, there's so many people. A lot of these platforms are really ghosts with robots and a few motherfuckers that got a following. And pretty much with Trump saying that, there was a back and forth between Elon Musk and Jack Dorsey of Elon was calling Jack Dorsey, or not calling Jack Dorsey, I'm sorry. He was calling out Twitter, and he told everybody, hey, go to your Twitter, go to the homepage, go to the star, and press see latest tweets. Because he's probably in negotiations of some form, or all of this is theater to begin with, and they're just yanking our chain for publicity, which is what it looks like the world has come to, of everything feels like it's just a rollout, I guess you would say, or just theater to a certain degree with a lot of these. It feels like post-pandemic, this is the new marketing strategy for things like street theater between celebrities of, like, we're never going to get to the bottom of them tweeting with each other. And why would it even go that far? Billionaires are going to be arguing and getting petty on Twitter? Sure, it's possible. Is it likely when stocks is invested, there's investors all around, there's probably street teams invested in this one, somebody could get hurt over this thing. This is big money. Like, I highly doubt any of this is real, but if it is, it's probably Elon trying to make a play, and at the end of the day, Jack is still, even though he walked away from his role of whatever was president of Twitter or whatever the hell it was, he's still heavily involved, clearly, because he's the first person to reply to Elon telling people, hey, escape the algorithm, press the latest tweets.
Which I feel like Twitter has pointed that feature out before.
It's not that pushed. There's a lot of people that have no idea that even exists. That tweet alone, I checked the replies. So many people felt like they just discovered gold.
Bro, I've seen that tweet go viral at least 5 times. Do you guys
I still don't think that it had an impact that this one had, because all eyes is on Elon Musk right now.
Do you think it's I'm sure you do Fornev, but do you guys think that, like, at least on Elon's part, it's performative to drive traffic back to the app?
I've noticed, like, I remember hearing about Twitter's numbers being down, and this is probably the most people have talked about Twitter in a while. So
people are sick of Twitter.
Yeah. I mean, because let's face it, Twitter is a shithole. Like, so this is the most people have talked about Twitter in a while. So the idea that this could be a work, not hard to believe.
Is there any other social media apps that are newer that you guys have kind of been messing around with a little bit?
Personally, not really.
Truth Social. No.
What's wrong with Truth Social? It's a new upstart network. What's that about?
It's everyone's favorite man owns that one.
Oh, that's your Trump app, right?
Yeah.
Oh, what is that? What's that about? Like, what's going on with that?
I've never used it. I know it's just a social media. Honestly, I think it's just a circle jerk for Trump to be able to say stuff. I have no idea.
I also feel as though there's a possibility, and that's why Trump is snapping on Elon and them, that this is I don't know, financial warfare to a certain degree in certain
I hope.
aspects of, look at Trump. He even had a date of he was coming finally back to, or not finally back to, but basically he had abandoned Truth Social. There was a lot of people saying like he's not on his own fucking app. It was a big joke of he's not even on his own app or nothing. And then this Elon Musk thing happens right like a couple days after he makes his first appearance or post or whatever the hell on the app over there. Like, yo, it just sounds straight up like this is a fight for a political fight. Because, too, think about it like this, right? Let's just say Trump doesn't return to Truth Social until getting closer and closer to the next election run. All he has to do is make all of his posts on Truth Social. Now the media, for free, has to promote his app and report on anything he says over on Truth Social. Now Fox, CNN, everybody got to say, over on his Truth Social app, Trump just said blah, blah, blah.
So you think this could be like a fight for like social media real estate?
To a certain degree, yeah. Look at Elon Musk.
Yeah.
He literally drew his line in the sand. He put a picture and he said left, right, and he showed like how he slowly, progressively got slightly to lean right wing. Trump's whole bread and butter is right wing. If he is appealing, if Elon Musk is now starting to appeal more towards right wing, it stops people that are like, man, fuck Twitter. I'm sick of this shit. I'm going to Truth Social. Now they're like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, Elon's changing things. He invited Trump back, even though he knew Trump was never returning.
I don't think Trump would be the type of businessman to leave his own app to go back
to
someone
Twitter.
else.
Yeah. And I don't think they would lift the ban. I think that that's BS on their part that they would. I think they would find some creative way to stop that if Trump did try to do it, but he's not because he's trying to launch Truth Social. They right now stop because a lot of the narrative around Twitter is that it's mainly like the left and, you know, it's ran by the left and all of this, you know, woke, blah, 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 whatever they want to say. And now Elon Musk is now the owner, even though the sale hasn't been finalized, and they've been stressing that it hasn't been finalized for quite some time now, this $44 billion sale of Twitter.
Yeah, I mostly just use Twitter, but I've been trying not to use it because it's so fucking shitty.
You tried to leave an app.
But kind of going like off of what Fornev was saying, is like basically like Truth Social is just something there to like probably just take some cash and run with it. I don't think there was any hope that it was going to ever take anything. Then I think for like Elon,
oh, you don't think that Trump was trying to actually make that a legitimate competitor to Facebook and all that?
No. I think it just because every business he runs is basically just a shill. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's like a, what do you call it? Like a dump and run or whatever. Just go in. Dump. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's his business model since the beginning of time. So I don't see this being any different.
Oh, okay.
Now I think about it, I think my favorite social media is Final Fantasy 14.
Oh, you're talking about critically acclaimed Final Fantasy 14 and Heaven's Sword?
Yes, that's exactly right.
It's funny you say that because before we all assembled for this here podcast called I can't figure out what the name is because the title is super long, I was actually playing some Final Fantasy 14. And
hell yeah.
That's the new Second Life.
Oh, damn.
Where are you at in the game?
I'm on Goblin.
You're on Goblin?
Yeah, I'm on Goblin.
Okay. All right. I'm in the Crystal data center.
We're on the same data center.
We're in the same data center. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, so you can play with us. We had a active FC. You know, I'm at post Endwalker content.
Same here.
Nice.
I got Gunbreaker, Dark Knight, Dragoon, and Red Mage at 90.
See, these guys are looking at us like, what the fuck are they talking? So
these motherfuckers are like,
14.
like, these fucking pieces of shit. What the fuck is this? How can it be a Final Fantasy if there's 14 of them?
50.
Oh, I love Final Fantasy. I've not played 14, but like,
dude, you would love,
especially the older ones. I was super into Final Fantasy.
You would love 14. There's a part of the community that will actually like role play, like come up with like lore and everything for their main characters and shit. So, you can make your character look like any of the main Final Fantasy characters, or you can like just completely do your own thing.
Okay, so this one's like purely online, like it's an online experience.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep. In the same vein of World of Warcraft, where it's moderately customizable, not to the extent of WoW, but you do have to pay a monthly subscription. However, they've made it where the first 2 expansions of the game plus the base game are free. So
No, it's up to Heaven's Word, not Stormblood.
It's not Stormblood.
No, not Stormblood.
I'm pretty sure they included Stormblood when Endwalker came out.
When Endwalker came out,
Mm-hmm.
they extended it to Stormblood?
Because you can go up to level 70.
I didn't know that. I thought it was okay. All right.
Yep. So that's pretty cool. So what I was gonna say is I got some FC members that are starting to go viral, which actually made me remember, Fornev, I think I've seen you on my timeline a little bit. Have you been dabbling in TikTok a little bit more?
Oh yeah, no, it's a great promotional tool. Like, don't expect really, at the very least for the foreseeable future, to make much money off of there, but it can lead you to somewhere where you can make some money for people that are trying to be creative. Like, TikTok is the easiest place to grow right now. They're pushing anybody that's going to show some interest in there. They're going to put you on the For You page if you get it right. TikTok has been a great tool, and it also helps you just like, okay, if I got these clips for TikTok, why don't I also throw them on Twitter? Why don't I also throw them on here? Why don't I also, flood the algorithms with my name?
Would you say that's been like probably the easier avenues for you to like kind of build your following, or do you think maybe you've had it easier with like YouTube or Twitter or some shit?
Golden age of YouTube was probably similar. Maybe it's a little easier with TikTok because the way they're counting a view, because their whole motto is off short form content. They can't say like, yo, even though they're trying to expand now, like I noticed little by little I keep unlocking features which I'd imagine been available for a bit, but they're slowly starting to push more about this, 10 minutes. You could upload longer videos. Like, uploaded a full video from my Fornev World catalog onto my Fornev News thing to see what what it would do, and I was shocked. I was like, I put a whole fucking video on here, like an actual like full video, not just a clip. But it's still better, in my opinion, more beneficial, unless you're directly like using TikTok as your main headquarters, to just use it like for clips and to try and get some viral hits or something, because they are pushing it probably slightly maybe better than the old YouTube. Like, now it's no comparison. YouTube, to try to get views, you got to really put in some muscle. With TikTok, there's a little bit of leniency.
Interesting. Maybe we can get into that like another time and really dive into it. I think we're out of time, but before we go, we've actually been working on something special, I believe, a new YouTube channel, and we even have a banner. Right? How do you guys, like? I actually really like that banner. Like, what are you guys thinking?
Yo, Chris, you did a bang 'em up job. I'm not even gonna lie, fam. Logo, all of it.
Thank you.
That's just
sounds like I'm fapping under the desk, but I'm not. I promise.
Don't
Go,
lie.
Chris.
Good banner, bro.
Great shit, man. That's where we're going.
edit point.
On the screen right now, you will see the banner. That's what you'll see.
Oh, yeah. So pull the banner up for everybody to see. And I think we'll have a link to that channel for you guys to subscribe to in the description, right? So I believe that's all the time that we have. Anybody have any final words before we go?
I had a blast. Everything's like, I'm thinking we're on a good start here for our official first podcast.
It was a pretty good first episode.
Yeah, we went deep to all various
We went
parts of interest.
I want to say thank you to anybody that watched this episode all the way through. Like, I know we're new on the block. This is our first episode. Hope you enjoy. Hope you like what you see. We're going to keep on going, keep on tweaking. Any suggestions of, hey, you could do this different, we really would love to hear it. We will respond and all of that good stuff. So we'd appreciate all feedback. And yeah, I'm ready for a new journey, new chapter. These are my guys. We're coming. We're here to stay. We're going to rock this house, and we're going to take it to a new level.
Bam. So make sure you guys follow us on our social medias, which you'll also be able to find in this. We're leaving a lot of goodies for everybody in the description today, huh?
Yeah.
So be sure to follow everybody. Make sure you hit subscribe, hit that thumbs up too, to get us up there on the algorithm, right? Thumbs up.
Yeah. Thumbs
Big,
up is
big.
huge.
Boom! Boom! And that's all we have for this one. Somebody find an outro because we're not using my "Have an Awesome Day" shit. I say it too much.
Wanna fly like an eagle to the sea. Fly right into. All right, I'm out of here.
Peace. それは
Alright, guys.
何ですか?